They've also asked Vega to support and donate to Cafe Reconcile, an organization that trains underprivileged youth for entrepreneurship in the hospitality industry.
The industry is like this. That's why I always have to tell people who, when they don't know, Desi Vegas is just one place. I would say 8 to 9 out of 10 establishments out there, they have this whole thing. When they see people of color, especially black people, walk up, they immediately prejudge them as if they're going to be bad customers and they're not going to tip. I personally cannot. I'm going my rant a little bit. I personally cannot stand people who do not tip and who do not tip fairly. But that's another discussion I'll talk about in a little bit. What do you feel about this?
That's sad. And like I said, but like he didn't fire them, so he pulled himself in it too, even if he didn't know at the beginning. So
yeah,
I don't know. I like the way they said like this restaurant has to help underprivileged kids and everything now. It's like, okay, yeah, pay back.
Well, that was cool because the couple didn't ask for free food.
Yeah.
They didn't ask for a coupon or anything. They didn't try to get any money. They didn't sue. They just said,
they
hey.
did the right thing because they could have made him look cheap. You know, it's like, give us some food.
Yeah, give us. No, they were smart. We don't want your money. Give that to a good cause. Make people know what they're getting when they come into your restaurant from now on. Maybe you can be an example now to other restaurants out there because this happens all the time. It really does. And look, I'm not saying that black people don't tip, and I'm not saying that maybe there is some truth to that stereotype. There have been articles explaining why maybe black people don't tip as much. I mean, I remember we talked about this a while back. There was a video that pissed me the fuck off. It was a family of 16 people. You remember this, man?
There's no sound in the surveillance video, but at this point, Gonzalez says the group started berating the staff.
When they started making offenses to the server and telling them, like, come on.
After the group ignores staff and skips out on their $420 bill.
Them, man. These people. I would put them in goddamn restaurant jail. I wouldn't even put them in real jail. I put them in a restaurant, lock them up, and make them bust tables for a week. No tip. Dishwashing too, mopping the floors. Hell,
definitely on toilet duty.
What's that?
Definitely on toilet duty.
Oh yeah, scrubbing shit stains out of toilets, man. All that.
But this wasn't about tipping. They didn't even pay for the food.
Oh Jesus, yeah,
these guys just left.
They didn't even get to the tipping part.
Yeah. Here's a tip. Don't let us back in this bitch. When something happens, they represent the whole group more than others, you know? Because I can tell you right now, there's redneck motherfuckers out there that don't tip and they don't speak for the whole group, you know? So the point is, you never prejudge anybody. I don't care who it is. You took the job, and I'm not saying that you deserve it. I'm not saying that if you're in the service industry, you shouldn't be upset about not being tipped. You took the job, you know there's going to be shitty people. Just don't prejudge people, man. Otherwise, you have incidents like this. Next thing you're on the news and getting exposed and the restaurant's in trouble and you looking stupid and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So, you know, just don't do that shit, man. By the way, somebody said if you don't want to be tipped, then don't be a waiter or a waitress. I think that's the wrong way of looking at it. You cannot judge anybody and predict why they have a certain job. You don't know people's lives. I would never say that about anybody. I would say just expect to meet shitty people. But I tell you folks, you know, with this whole tipping thing, man, first of all, tip. Just tip. These people, you don't know why they have this job. They're working their ass off. Tip them 20%. You are really a shitty person if you know that you're going to go out and eat. You know these people depend on tips, and you don't give them 20%. You're kind of a shitty person. I'm sorry. I'm going to judge you. I'm sorry. You are. But if you can't afford to tip, then don't fucking go. How about that? It's not like don't take the job if you don't want to get tipped. How about if you can't tip, you don't fucking eat there? It's that simple. I hate non-tippers, man. I'm sorry. But the other thing is, Oz, I'm gonna ask you something, man. Do you know the history of tipping?
No, I do not.
I read about this not too long ago, and it was a great time to bring it back up. I've always hated the system of tipping, not because I don't want to tip anybody. I think it's a system that is flawed. I always thought it was flawed.
Definitely, and it's wrong.
It's wrong. People work their ass off like any other job. They work harder than some people at other jobs. They get a paid full wage. Why can't we give these people a decent and fair wage themselves? And
why it's on customers to pay the service? It has to be the restaurant who pays the service.
well, and maybe you could tell me, because I saw this a long time ago. I wanted to bring it back up because I read about this. Tipping itself, if the history that I read and have heard about, if it is true, it is also steeped in racism. It's a piece of racism, a piece of historic racism that eventually, over a century later, ended up fucking it up for everybody, as all bad things do. When you're messing with one group of people, it usually comes out and spreads to other people. And the history of tipping, it comes from Civil War times, if the history I see is true, where they freed slaves who ended up being servers or in the service industry. They didn't want to pay them a full wage. And so these people who were freed slaves who weren't getting paid a full wage, they depended on people giving them extra so that they could actually make money, just so they could get by. There was even a point where tipping was seen as something that you only do to black people. There's a book here. It's called Tipping: An American Social History of Gratuities. It says here that there's a quote from a journalist who said that he was embarrassed to tip a white man. Negroes take tips, of course. One expects that of them. It is a token of their inferiority. Tips go with servility, and no man who is a voter in this country is in the least justified in being in service. So this comes from a history where they want to keep one person down, and now it's a system that is making it hard on everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Because in different countries, especially like Eastern countries like Japan and all that, tipping is even not cool to do. When you tip people, they take it as an insult. They're like, I get paid from my place. Like, why you're like giving me change? Just like,
yeah, it's an archaic system, man. It's steeped in injustice, and everybody's losing, man. These people work hard. They shouldn't have to gamble on whether a person's an asshole and it's not going to give them a fair standard of living, or give them a livelihood. It's a shame, man. It needs to change. I am all for getting rid of tipping, man. It's just another case against tipping. Tipping is so wrong, and nobody wants to do it because these businesses are running now, and they're making their money, and they're all talking about like, well, if I have to pay my staff, I'm going to lose money. No, you just don't want to. You just don't want to see something change where it's not going to benefit you for a little while. It will make it harder on some people, but this needs to change, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, pay the people what they're worth, man. Pay people a fair wage for an honest day's work. That's what it all should entail. And because there's been this in play for so long, it's easy for establishments like, hey, listen, this is your base salary, but hey, you can make it up in tips.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean, and that's what they run off of this time, man. Again, man, you know what you know, and if there's a way to change this, it would be nice.
Yeah, I think restaurants should put the tipping in their prices for food and drinks, and then they cannot fool you like, oh, okay, you know what, you calculate and you think you're gonna spend $50, then you have to spend 20% more.
Yeah,
you just put it in the price, and I know how much I'm gonna pay at the end of the dinner.
Yeah, people. I don't think anybody, I don't care what color you are, what race you are, what gender you are. I don't care what your life is. If you're working hard, you deserve to be paid fairly. And it's ridiculous, man. Tipping should be optional only after somebody's already getting paid a fair wage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't have to rely on people who are not reliable. to make up the rest of their wage, you know what I mean? Because I'm a tipper. I tip. Me and my wife, we always tip, man. Where it depends on how the service is.
Yeah.
You may get more than others. It's not hard to get a tip. You know what I mean? At least from us. You know what I mean? Be there for us. Don't come with a fucking grumpy attitude because I ain't asked you to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's it, man. Bring me some water, my Hooters wings, and we good.